Let's touch base with Chriselda Lewis, who is live from the floor of the Results Operations Centre as we continue to engage a number of political parties. You've just missed a gong. That means the results, Chriselda, have changed again.
Oh, absolutely. They have changed, Ayanda. And every time I hear that bell, my eyes are just fixated on this leaderboard. Yes, they've changed at complete 13.99%. We saw what moving a little bit this morning. I'd been watching well into the early hours of this morning. I'd been a little bit slow. Recall that the first results, of course, that had come in had been from the Winnie Madikizela Mandela municipality, and that, of course, being at, I think it was the Bizana Baptist Church. Yes, that's where they came from. That was the first shortly after midnight. We'd been watching that. So where do we stand now? 13.99%, still far off in terms of where we are going. But we're moving, and I think those that are hoping that they're going to move in terms of numbers and quite drastically are the political parties that are starting to make their way here to the Results Operations Centre. I want to start now with the African Independent Congress. Margaret Arnold joins me now. Ms. Arnold, I don't know if you're looking nervous or you're looking...
I don't think I understand the word nervous. I've never been nervous. Yeah. I expect what comes, and yeah, that's just me. I'm not nervous. Yeah.
Well, you registered in the Western Cape, KwaZulu-Natal, the Eastern Cape, the Northwest, Gauteng, and as well as National. But your concentration as a party has been a lot on the Eastern Cape, Gauteng, and the Western Cape as well. Are you hoping that your fortunes will change once we start to see most of those results coming in there?
We would want to see all the 5 provinces that we've registered in, that we get seats in there, even if it's just one in each of them. But we have got intensified our campaigns, Western Cape, KZN, as well as in Gauteng and the Eastern Cape. And I do believe that Gauteng, we stand a good chance. You know, years ago we had a seat in the Eastern Cape, and we could possibly get back to a seat there and then on National. So I'm really not nervous. I'm an expectant mother that doesn't care what the baby is, as long as the baby has 10 fingers and 10 toes, we are fine with it. So yes, we've intensified in those provinces.
And in terms of where we are at the moment, in terms as 1,846, that's where we are. Obviously, you're hoping in the next couple of hours, but let me get your overall assessment of the election yesterday, the voting process.
Okay, I think, Chriselda, your first question, we have just arrived at almost 14% of the votes that's counted, so there's still a lot. We are still going to be sitting here because I've just looked, there's a lot coming in. Overall, on the elections of yesterday, I think as the African Independent Congress, we do have confidence in the IEC. We know that the IEC has always been doing their work well, right? But also, there's also sometimes human error. For instance, the voting stations that had long queues, if only PEOs use their discretion to deal with the streams, to separate the voters' roll, we wouldn't have had those long queues. If only they had thought, let us not use the VDM and rather use the old the voters' roll, that would have been fine. Right. So I think as human beings, we sometimes err, and then we say the big organization has a problem. No. And I think training needs to start ASAP for IEC people.
Margaret Arnold, the AIC, thank you very much indeed. Her reflections on the overall vote which took place yesterday. And of course, hoping for those numbers to improve at 1,846 for the IEC at the moment. Let's move towards this direction now, speak to other political parties. Let's bring in Aapo. I know that we have not yet spoken to them. Let's bring them in. Of course, you would know that Aapo had some challenges with regard to when there was the signatures that needed to be brought in, meeting that threshold as well. They were able to register the Eastern Cape as well as Gauteng as well, but had been disqualified in, I think it was Limpopo, as well as the Western Cape in Limpopo, that was due to invalid signatures. Let's bring in Aapo now. Thank you very much indeed for your time. Prospects for Aapo. Just taking a look at the leaderboard.
Taking a look at the leaderboard, we are now at 13% of the votes counted. It's just over 1.3 million. And as Aapo, we are cautiously confident that our numbers will rise. We are also confident that when we reach the 50% mark, that will give us a very clear indication of where we stand. But given the fact that we did not have a seat in Parliament, we are certainly confident that we will reach that mark, depending on the thresholds that will be determined. But given the turnout and how we are looking at things and the calculations that we are doing, it would appear that the threshold will be the same as the last elections, about 45,000, and we think we'll reach that mark.
We were met with several hiccups in the run-up to this election pertaining to the signatures, disqualification in Limpopo as well as the Western Cape. In Limpopo, that was due to invalid signatures. Certainly, you would have hoped that things would have gone a little bit different so that you're able to amass more support in these particular areas.
Certainly. Remember that with the Poppy Act, people were very reluctant to give their information and also attach signatures, because the requirement was that it had to be the valid ID number as well as signatures. And giving that information, personal information, to a stranger, other people deliberately gave us wrong ID numbers. Others refused to give us the numbers, and others gave us the numbers, but they were not on the voters' roll. Yeah. So that's where the challenge came. The disqualification was, the invalidity thereof was as a result of those factors. Yeah. Not the fact that maybe signatures were, as the allegation with some other parties, that the signatures were forged. No, we got the signatures from individuals, and our concentration as a result had to focus on the areas wherein we were registered completely, which was Limpopo and Gauteng. Yeah. However, our president visited all the provinces, and the campaign trail visited all those places. But you would also recall that funding was a challenge. I mean, the expectation out there, people would expect free T-shirts if you visit them, and a once visit is not enough. You need to go a second time or a third time so that you can be able to build that confidence.
Aapo, thank you very much indeed. We do appreciate your point. Stephen Mokoena speaking to us there on what they're looking at in terms of the prospects. And I can certainly tell you, all these political parties, that's exactly where they're fixated on. They are focused on that leaderboard, hoping things are going to change in the next couple of hours into this morning, this afternoon, as well as this evening.